there are deot that say that if you double wrap it, then you can throw it out. But just like Chaviva does, I usually wrap it completely in tin foil so that it's completely covered, and then I stick it in the oven until it's burnt. It is customary to stand when reciting the bracha, and because this is an 8 ratzon, it's a special time for us to daven to Hashem. We can go to the next slide. Here's the bracha. Now, if you are, I don't know if we have any Sephardim in the audience, but the difference of the bracha for the Sephardim is that instead of saying l'hafrish challah min ha'isa, you would say l'hafrish challah truma. Okay, so here we go. Just say the bracha, and then you're going to take a handful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu hafrish challah min ha'isa. Hare zo challah. Okay, this is going to go into its own little piece of tin foil, and it will be burnt later. Just like Chaviva, I like to do it separately from my challah because you like to get that great challah smell going, and it's hard to do that if you're purposely trying to burn one. Okay. This is also an 8 ratzon, a time for tefillah and reflection. So with gratitude to the rabbi, I did get from him his list of cholim that he usually does on the bima. I'll say the Hiratzon now. Please feel free to say along and add in your own cholim or cholot. We're going to do one for men and women together. Hiratzon l'fanecha Adonai Elohai v'Elohei Avotai shetishlach mehira refuah shlema min hashamayim refuat hanefesh refuat haguf lacholim Aaron Aryeh ben Fega, Aaron Meir ben Yael Miriam, Aaron Mordechai ben Edel Tzipora, Haronia Tzivia bat Serel, Aryeh Leib ben Brian Ariva, Asher ben Fruma, Avraham Yitzchak ben Yehudis, Baruch ben Razel, Basia Brindel ben Chaya Sarah, Ben Sion Menzel ben Chama, Benjamin Dov ben Miriam Mendel, Bracha Marnina bat Razel Elisheva, Bracha Sobel bat Shulamit, Chaim ben Leah, Chaim Shalom ben Fega, Chaim Yitzchak ben Gittel, Chana bat Adina, Chava bat Chana, Chaviva Dina bat Shoshana, Chaya bat Rivka Malka, Chaya bat Zarachana, Chaya Hadassah Zahava bat Leah Riza, Chaya Tova Gittel bat Shlamit Sima, Dina Rachel bat Naomi, Chana, Devorah Bracha bat Fega Gittel, Devorah bat Malka, Devorah Rachel bat Miriam Chava, David Chanoch ben Yehudit, David Henoch Mordechai ben Freda Simcha, Ephraim Shmuel ben Miriam, Eliyahu Lev ben Liba bat Sheva, Eliyahu Avraham ben Shanzel, Eliyahu Pinchas ben Michal Tzipora, Esther bat Gittel, Etel Malka bat Leah, Fega Leah Miriam bat Rachel Golda, Gabriel ben Sarah, Gershom Henoch ben Gittel, Golda Chana bat Fega Reza, Grina Razel bat Rikli Fega, Ita bat Ada, Leah Chana bat Devorah, Leah Sarah bat Lida, Liba Devorah bat Miriam, Margola Rachel bat Tova Gittel, Matityahu ben Naomi, Meir Aryeh ben Sarah, Mital Mituka bat Miriam, Menachem Avraham ben Shabsai, Micha Chaim ben Sarah, Mina Chana bat Chava, Miriam bat Chana, Miriam Chai Esther bat Sarah, Mordechai David ben Lebi Zahava, Mordechai Tzvi ben Chaya, Mordechai Yaakov ben Shifra, Moshe Aryeh Chizkiyahu ben Dvorah Rachel, Moshe Nachum ben Chana Liba, Necha bat Leah, Nina Sarah Yentel bat Dreshka, Perel Ella bat Elka Rivka, Peretz Yaakov ben Sarah Bela, Pinchas bat Rivka, Rachel Dina bat Liba Leah, Rana Shprinza bat Chaya, Razel Rivka bat Miriam Bela, Reuven ben Luba, Rivka bat Chava, Rivka bat Rachel, Rachel Dvorah bat Zelda Leah, Rachel Tova bat Esther Masha Alta, Roiza bat Ginda, Sarah bat Rachel, Sarah bat Rachel, Sarah Rachel bat Clara, Sarah bat Perel, Sarah Rivka bat Chana Tzipora, Sharon Dina bat Esther, Shilaim Tzvi ben Chaya Gittel, Shimon Yitzchak ben Esther Rivka, Shimra ben Chana, Shlomo Yaakov Yonatan ben Chana Razel, Shmuel ben Rachel, Shosha Fega bat Gittel, Shraga Feivel ben Leah, Sima Rachel bat Toba, Sinai Shemin ben Masha Tzivya, Tamar Golda bat Shira Nina, Svi Shalom ben Esther Masha Alta, Yaakov ben Rivka Miriam, Yaakov ben Rivka Miriam, Yaakov Levi ben Bela, Yaakov Moshe ben Chaya Gittel Tova, Yecheskel Chaim Yehuda ben Sima Mirel Miriam, Yehoshua ben Sarah, Yehoshua Eliyahu Chaim ben Sarah Rachel, Yehudis Bas Mina, Yeshaya Zalman ben Elka Rivka, Yocheved Bapnina Beryl, Yosef ben Mintel, Zachariah Aryan ben Fratel, Zachariah Shalai ben Ilana Dvorah, Ze'ev ben Rivka Chaya. B'toch Sha'ar Cholei Yisrael. May all the cholim have a refuah shlema umehera. Okay, so a few general tips. When you are baking your challah, it's better to try to keep your strands about equal length and weight, as somebody mentioned before when we were schmoozing. 3 ounces per strand is a great size for making braids. I do often have my food scale in front of me and actually start weighing out 3 ounces. I'm not going to do that here. It's not time efficient. So if you don't have a food scale or it's just not available to you right now, feel free to eyeball it. When you roll out your dough, there will be some springback. So if you roll it out and it comes to this width, then it will spring back slightly. So just allow for that as you're calculating in your mind. The middle should be slightly thicker than the ends, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And if your hands are sticky or the dough is a little sticky, you can use oil or flour to make it easier to work with the dough. I prefer oil. I'll just spray a little bit of Pam on my hands, rub them, and we're good to go. Okay, as I'm starting to make the strands, and as you start to make your strands, I'm going to talk to you briefly about add-ins and toppings. If you want your add-ins to appear throughout your challah, somebody was talking about raisins before. I've also seen people do this with chocolate chips, with rosemary, with cinnamon and sugar. You can slice your rope in half, kind of like when you're making Hasselback potatoes and you keep the bottom intact. So you want to do the same thing with the dough. Put your toppings in the center, roll it back up, and shape accordingly. If you only want toppings on the crust, we're going to do that at the end after the egg wash. Okay, Erica, if I could ask that you spotlight I think I need to unmute myself on the other screen in order to do that, so that people can see my hands. I was afraid that was going to happen. Okay. Oh, no, that's bad. Okay, I think we're gonna, if you see me here, that's good. Okay. I have my laptop in front of me. I have my phone to the left, literally taped to a box of garbage bags. This is my daughter's makeshift thing so she doesn't have to stand there holding my phone for the whole time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is going to be the 4 strand. So make your 4 strands. And for each shape, there's a little bit of a rhyme or a thing you're going to say to help you remember. The 4th strand is really simple. It's actually one of my favorites to make because it is so easy and it comes out so pretty. Again, it's getting a little sticky, so I'm gonna oil up my hands a bit. If anybody has questions at any point, don't hesitate to hold down your space bar to temporarily unmute yourself. I'm happy to answer any questions at any time. This is a little too big. I'm just gonna put some of that back. This dough is a little stickier than I usually work with. Add a little bit of flour on top for as I take. And I'll add a little bit to my workstation. Yes.
I wanted to know, you said you made the balls each strand 3 ounces. Is that how big you said?
Usually, yes. When I weigh them out to 3 ounces.
Okay.
I'm not gonna sit here with my food scale while you're all watching because it's just not time efficient, so I'm kind of eyeballing it now. But I do find that to be a really good weight to get good, well-shaped challah. All right. A little more flour on here. I do like them a little longer and thinner. We'll make it work, no big deal. There we go. I like it. Again, you got to allow for that spring back. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to attach all 4 strands at the top. And it's a simple under-over pattern. Start with your leftmost strand, go over, under, and over. And again, I suppose if you're a lefty, you may want to start with the leftmost strand. I'm a righty. I'm sorry, if you're a lefty, you may want to start with the rightmost strand. I'm a righty, I start with the leftmost. And again, this one is now the first one, so now you're going to take it and go over, under, and over. Take the first strand, go over, under, over. Now what was the 4th is now the 1st. Over.
Aliza,
Yes.
it's not clear what strand you're going under and which one you're going over. If you could number them 1, 2, 3, 4, going from left to right, then we would do better.
Sure, I'm gonna unbraid here so you can follow along. Give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, so here we have our 4 strands. You're taking strand number 1, going over 2, under 3, over 4.
Over 2, under 3,
and over 4.
over 4. Okay.
Okay, and then you're going to start that same pattern. What was 2 is now 1. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're going to take that one and go over. So now this is now 1, 2, 3, 4. Take number 1, go over 2, under 3, over 4. Now this one is number 1. Your leftmost strand is always number 1. So you're going to take number 1 and go over 2, under 3, over 4. Again, take number 1, over 2, under 3, over 4. And then as you reach the bottom, tuck them underneath there to make a nice neat end, and come back to the top and do the same. You see I have a few different shapes of pans here for this kind of challah. I like to use an oblong. Because of Amazing Savings being closed, I don't have all the shapes I usually like to use for challah. The main one I'm missing is really the 8-inch round, but I have an 8-inch square that I'm going to kind of improvise with later. Give your pan a spray of Pam so that it doesn't stick. And lay your braid right in there. And it'll look like that. Okay, now on Friday, when I made 5 pounds of challah, I was able to get 2 4 strands, 4 split strands and 2 little guys. Is that it? I feel like there was more.
Could you repeat that again? How many did you get?
Okay, so minimum I got 4 6-strand challahs, 2 4-strand challahs, and my son and I made these 2 little mini 1-strand guys that I'm going to show you later also.
Do you find a big difference between whether you put it in a pan or just leave it out on like a cookie sheet?
So I'll tell you the difference that I find. The difference that I find is when I give it that second rise after it's shaped. If it's on a cookie sheet, some recipes I find spread more than others. Like the ones I made on Friday tasted delicious, but they spread. They weren't as pretty, the ones that I left on, because I left them rising too long because glacier we have it. Okay, so I'm going to start the first 6 strands. My kids know I've named the 2 6 strands that I use. If we could do whatever that is going on. This one I call the Levia because I learned it from Levia Weisinger. So give credit where credit's due there. I'm going to take 6 strands of about equal size. Can you get me a little bit more flour, please? Yeah, can you get me a little bit more flour, please? Thank you. Okay. I'm going to make my 6 strands here. There's actually a video that I've seen go around a number of times that has this Israeli woman doing, she's at a challah bake of some sort, and she's doing tons of different shapes. She's got all her strands rolled out already, which I consider doing, but if you're doing it along with me, that wouldn't be so fair, so easily workable for you. Thank you. So she had them all worked out already, and she did some crazy shapes that were really intricate, really impressive. And this was one of the, it's actually, it looks pretty intricate, but it's actually pretty simple. This strand looks like it needs a little more dough to even out with the others. So I'm going to add it in. I know some people prefer to roll on the work surface. Personal preference, I like to roll better in my hands. Not quite sure why, I just do. Okay, so we've got 3 here. Like I said before in the first part, my house was very warm today, so the dough came out a little stickier because of that. So I'm just using some tips of flour to make them a little easier to work with. Humidity will definitely affect your dough. No question about it. I have 4 here. Here comes number 5. A little roll in the flour. Again, if anybody has questions, I'm always open. Get these guys a little longer. And one more. Funny thing is, I thought of putting on an apron before we did this part, and then I said, nah, what do I need an apron for? I'm not going to be using so much flour. Haha. Man plans, God laughs.
Aliza, do the
Yes.
6-strand ones take as long to bake as the 4-strand ones?
So the 4 and the 6, I find generally do take around the same amount of time. The 1-strand ones definitely need less time. Okay, so here we have our 6 strands. I'm attaching them at the top as I did before. What is that? Giving them a nice little pinch to try to keep them together. And these I'm going to separate into 2 sets of 3. Okay, I'm always going to be working with the outside ones, but you'll see why it's important in just a minute that they be in really 2 sets of 3s, 2 distinct sets of 3. I'm going to take the outside, bring them to the inside in an X formation, and separate them out. So when this Israeli woman was doing it, she kept saying, Chitzoniot X panima. So you take the outsides, make an X, and bring them inside. Outsides, X to the inside. Outsides, X to the inside. Spread them out as much as you can. Outside, X to the inside. And then again, you're going to take those ends and give them a little tuck. This one, I'm actually going to make slightly larger in a loaf pan, depending on, the reason I like to use shaped pans more than cookie sheets or 9x13s, although I do have some 9x13s here also, is because I find when it rises, it keeps its shape more nicely. There we have the Levia. Any
That's
questions?
so beautiful, Lisa.
Thank you. It's easy, but it comes out looking really, really pretty. Okay, next one I call the Debbie because I learned it from Debbie Rosalinsky. So, and this is more of the traditional 6 braid that you're going to find in bakeries and the like, which always kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, intimidated me. I didn't think that I'd be able to get that shape. And then Debbie taught me this one rhyme and it made all the difference. It's second one over, first one to the middle. That's all you need to know.
Aliza,
Yes.
after we're shaping it, can we bake it immediately, or we have to wait for it to rise again?
So I usually do let it rise a second time once it's shaped for about a half hour or so, sometimes an hour. I do recommend giving it that second rise.
Okay,
Also-
thank
and
you.
also before, no problem. Also, before we bake, we're going to egg wash so that it gets that nice sheen. And if you want any toppings, that's when we're going to do it at the end when everything is shaped. So we'll do, what I'm going to do with you is I'll do one of each. And then afterwards, you're welcome to do whichever ones you'd like to do to finish off your dough. And if you have any questions, of course, you're welcome to call me, email me, WhatsApp me, whatever. I'll give out my information at the end.
Aliza, could you send us or make available somehow these directions?
These slides, absolutely. What I would say is either text me, better yet, WhatsApp me, or email me with your email address, and I'll be happy to email it to you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Right now, everybody's hands are full of dough, so I'm not going to give you the contact information yet, but at the end, don't let me get off without giving you my contact information.
Aliza, do you put the egg wash after the second rise, or do you put it on before the second rise? Hello?
Depends on if I'm using toppings. I usually do it before the second rise.
Before, okay.
Usually do it before the second rise. If I find once it rises again that there are spots that I missed, that I didn't get into all those nooks and crannies, then I will do that after the second rise. But you have to be very careful not to pop it. You know, if you egg wash it after the second.
Aliza,
Yes.
I'm going to make some rolls. Do you have some suggestions for how to shape rolls?
Yes, we can do that one next. We'll skip ahead to the rolls next.
Okay, thank you.
Uh,
This is very exciting to me. Thank you so much for doing this.
absolute pleasure.
Really appreciate it. You and Chaviva and everybody. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. This one's a little too thick. I used a little too much doing this one, so I'm gonna make it a little longer and a little slimmer. Okay, we have 4 ready.
Aliza, how many reeds do we need for this one?
6. Okay, this is the other 6-strand one, which I call the Debbie, a la Debbie Rosalimsky, who's the one who she started at the Challah bake last year in Passaic. And I'm also Facebook friends with her, and she did a video for it on her Facebook. So when it had been a while since I made challah and I couldn't remember how to do it, I went onto Debbie's Facebook page and I found the video, and it's become a good resource. Okay, here I have 5 strands. I'm going to get 1 more going, and then we'll be ready to do the more traditional 6 strands that you would find in bakeries.
Aliza, I just put a PDF of the braiding slide that everyone can see in the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you. Erica, check you out.
Sure, sure.
Okay. That's wonderful.
How do we retrieve that when our hands are full of flour?
At the end, when your hands are no longer full of flour. It'll still be in the chat. And again, you could also still contact me. Okay, so now I'm going to connect them at the top again. Is there anybody who's not ready for me to start this? Let me know.
I need 10 seconds.
No problem.
Me too, please, me too.
No problem. I got you.
Aliza, can I ask you a favor? It's Carmela. When you're
Okay.
showing all the different things, the shapes, can you go over that first, not now, but can you go over that X 6 strands? Because I was kind of not watching completely.
Sure.
Okay,
No.
but not, when you have after you've done the others.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. If I don't remember, Carmela, just remind me.
Okay.
Okay, is everybody ready?
In sec.
Okay. These 6 strands work best with long and narrow. So I'm kind of stretching out my dough as best I can. And now I'm going to take the 2nd strand. Again, I'm starting on the left. 2nd strand over, all the way to the other side. 1st strand to the middle.
2nd strand all the way over to the end.
Yep. And then the 1st strand goes down to the middle.
2nd strand.
Okay. And now you're going to, again, start all the way on the left. 2nd strand over,
Second.
I'm sorry, starting from the right now. Sorry, starting from the right now. Second strand over. So you're gonna make this second strand into the first one. And then the first one to the middle. Now on the left, second strand over.
Can you do that one more time from the beginning?
Hold on, I'm undoing, give me a second. Okay, here we go. We have our 6 strands. Take your second strand. I realized my other hand was in the way. Second strand over. First one to the middle. Okay, and now we're going to go to the other side, to the right. This is now the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Second strand over. First strand to the middle. Now we're working from the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second strand over. First one to the middle. Now we're switching sides, so we're back on the right. Second strand over. First one to the middle. You guys with me?
Yes.
Okay. Second strand over. First one to the middle. Now on the right, second strand over. First one to the middle. Now on the left, second strand over. First one to the middle. And now we're getting to these tiny little pieces at the end. So you just keep bringing it over until there's no dough left. And then you do that nip at the bottom.
Second strand.
Challah. Reading in my mind, I'm going to use a rectangular tin again for this one. You really can't go wrong if you're going to use rectangular or if you're going to use oblong. It's just a personal choice at this point. And there you have the Debbie. Any questions on that one?
Beautiful, Lisa. That one's gorgeous.
Why, thank you.
Aliza, I have a general question. So when I was buying yeast, so before I could get the dry yeast on Friday, a couple of weeks ago, the only thing I could get was the quick yeast. Is there a difference in terms of?
I'm not sure is really the short answer of it. I'm sure there's maybe a difference in rising time. I can't imagine that in terms of the taste of the challah would make a big difference.
Okay.
Before this, I was actually, I don't know if you recall or not, when Chaviv and I originally planned this, we had planned it for a few weeks ago, and then we changed it because there was a shortage of yeast.
Right, right.
And at that point, I kind of panicked and started, oh shoot, oh yeah, it is being recorded. Yes, it is being recorded. And thank you, Erica, because I forgot to hit record this time. I kind of went into panic mode and started buying yeast, and I was able to get my hands on, it took a while to come, so it was a good thing we waited this long, but I was able to get my hands on some of the packets.
Yeah.
And on a 1 pound tub, not a tub, but like a 1 pound package.
Yes.
1 pound package is fresh yeast, which I've never used before, but I look forward to using in the near future because I've been baking challah a lot more lately than I had been previously, and really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's
Process and the product. So
this has been wonderful. This is
the rapid rise yeast.
Yeah.
You don't have to proof. You can put that directly in the flour.
Oh.
Who was that?
Meryl.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Meryl.
Okay. Our next one. I did the 3 strands one, right? Yes. Okay. So this one is just like braiding hair. So if you've ever braided your own hair, your daughter's hair, your granddaughter's, nieces, whoever's, Challah braid is just the same if you're doing a 3-strand down, if you're doing a 3-strand braid. The one thing I would recommend though is that you start in the middle, right? When you're doing a braid in hair, you always start at the top. When you're doing a braid for challah, I recommend that you start in the middle because you'll get a more even braid than you would if you started at the top. And if you picture a braid in somebody's hair, the top is thicker and then it kind of tapers down. But if you want your challah to be more evenly shaped at the top and at the bottom, then it's better to start from the middle, and then depending on what you're comfortable with, you could either leave it there and do the top, or I've seen people flip it halfway and work that way. It's really up to you. So here I am not going to crimp at the top like I did for the others. I'm going to start in the middle. Get these a little bit longer. Make it a little nicer. There we go. And 1 over 2, 3 over 1, 1 over 3, 2 over 1, and you continue your braid. And then you give a little tuck. The reason some people flip is because it feels a little awkward to braid upside down sometimes. So. And again, as always, I give that little tuck underneath so it has a more finished look at the edges. This one I'll use oblong for. Spray my pan.
Aliza, you're doing 3-ounce strands approximately, and yours look like they're filling the pan. I'm doing 3-ounce measuring, and they're definitely not filling the pan.
So I'm not measuring now. When I measure, sometimes they don't fill right away, but then when they rise, they do.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not so good at eyeballing measurements. I'm good at many things. That's just not one of them. So I may be using 4 ounces in these. I'm really not sure.
I kind of eyeball it too. I don't have a scale. But let me ask you, Aliza, will you do also the little ones where you have to tuck them in? Mine just look, they taste delicious, but they always look hideous. They look kind of disfigured.
So what kind of dismemberment do you get from them? Like what kind of disfigurement, I should say?
They kind of open up and they don't look tight.
So then you're probably making your strands a little bit too long.
Yeah, could be. They're not on this one. I mean, when I make the little mini challah ones, that's what I mean.
Right. So I think the next one that I had on the slideshow is actually the little mini guys.
Oh, good. Never comes out like Chaviva. And I've never seen yours, but I'm sure.
Okay.
Come out like Chaviva.
So you see the size that I'm using here?
Hold on, let me see. Yeah.
I wouldn't make it much larger than that for this kind because it's going to, like you said, it's going to come apart. It's not going to work as well.
Okay.
So these, you're just going to use your fingers, kind of go around them and make a knot, bringing the little end right into the
Lisa,
top.
can we spotlight you? Oh, good.
Yeah, there you go. All right, can you do that again? Because now I have.
I will absolutely do that again.
Yeah, I couldn't see.
We didn't see you. We just saw.
No problem. No problem. Here we go.
She makes them into a.
Thank you, Erica, for your tech support, being behind the scenes on this one. You're doing an awesome job.
She makes it bounce. I need to. Sorry.
Took a little. I underestimated on this one, so I'm going to take a little bit more dough.
Okay.
For the single strands, for the little guys, you don't want to make the strands that long because you're going to end up with it kind of flopping all over the place otherwise.
Right. Let me just ask you another question while we're doing this.
Yes.
This is a different recipe for me, so obviously it's a little, and also we started at 2, so mine didn't rise as much as I wanted it to. I need another half hour or whatever. But I took one now so I can make it with you. I'm thinking if I can let it go on the second rise, it should still be okay?
I think so, yeah.
Right? I think so too. Okay.
I agree, yeah. So you see I made my strand much shorter this time than usual.
Okay.
Gonna wrap it around my fingers and bring this end up into the middle. That one didn't come out quite so pretty. It got a little sticky on the end there. I'm gonna do that one again with a little more flour. Hang on. Good news is it's forgiving.
I did it.
Do it again. Do it again.
Good news is it tastes good.
That's good.
It'll still taste good.
This is gonna be gorgeous. Just if you want, put some oil on your hands so that you can get the sides to stick together. It seems to be working. Beautiful. This is really nice. I just wonder if we're gonna have room for it to rise.
Again, I'm going around my fingers.
How many fingers are you going around?
2. Okay, so I'm going around my fingers and then I'm tying it into a knot, bringing the bottom up through the top. This one came out better, so I'll show you this one as an example of what it should look like. See that little bump there that came up through the middle? But I'm also going to show you a really fun one-strand one. The one thing I forgot, oh, I have this that I could use, okay. This one, you're gonna roll out the strands a little bit longer. And this one's gonna come out almost like a little crown. The one thing I forgot to prepare for myself was a knife, but I have this spatula that I like to use when I'm making challah. I'll use that. You can use anything, really. They are in front of you horizontally and cut little slits. Just about halfway, here I'll start from here so you can see better. Just about halfway up the rope.
How far apart?
I'm eyeballing it probably about 1/4 inch. But there's really no wrong or right. And then you're just gonna take it and roll it up like a snail. And you'll end up with like a little crown. And you'll see that I'm taking the edge where the dough ends and just kind of pinching to keep it in place.
Can you do that one more time?
Yep. 1 second to spray the pan. I'm gonna put my little guys together in one pan. There's really no reason not to.
How long do the little ones bake for?
So I usually check them at about 15-20 minutes. See how they look, and once they're golden brown, I take them out.
How do you know when the big ones are done and they're not mushy or moist on the inside, and also the outside shouldn't get burned?
Correct. So I do find about a half hour to be the magic number. A half hour, once it's really nice and golden brown on the outside, assuming you've egg washed, because I do egg wash my challah, then I find it to not be an issue. I told you before, my uncle is he's a real expert bread baker. And he once told me that if you knock on the bottom of the challah, I believe it was I have to check with him and then I'll get back to you, but I think it was if it sounds hollow, then it's done. But I don't want to tell you if it's wrong. So I'll double check with him. But I do find a half hour to really be.
Make them a little smaller? No, then they'll be tiny. Please, let me finish it, please.
Okay. You have your rope horizontally in front of you. Cut the little points into it. And roll it up like a snail. And then just pinch the edge together. If you have muffin tins, this would actually be, I think it was Esther had muffin tins. They'd probably keep their shape beautifully in muffin tins.
Standing up like a flower, right? Is that the deal?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So cute. I love this.
Yeah, it's a little different and quite fun.
Quite fun. Easy.
Okay, now I know somebody had asked about pull-aparts before. Pull-aparts I like to do best in round tins. I don't have round tins, so I'm gonna make it in a square tin, in an 8x8.
Do you have a muffin tin? She said to put them in these. She said to put them in the muffin tin. No, she said to, shh. Was that what she did?
Yeah, so for the crown ones can go into a muffin tin, but for the pull-apart, I recommend something symmetrical. So either a circle or an 8x8 square, but something that's symmetrical. And it's very easy to make a pull-apart, and you can make them as big or as small as you want. But you're going to just put them into concentric. If it's in a round tin, you're going to make in concentric circles. If it's a square tin, you're going to put into concentric squares. Just roll your balls and place them next to each other. Now, a really fun thing to do with these. I did this last week before Shabbos. I had some extra dough, and I took each ball of dough, dipped it into melted margarine, and rolled it in cinnamon sugar. It was 2 cups of sugar to half a cup of cinnamon. And I made a cinnamon bread that was delicious. I made one where I layered them in this size, in this kind of tin. And I did one where I just laid it flat in a square. I liked the way the square came out better. When you're making your circles, when you're making your balls of dough though for the pull apart, you want to make sure you're leaving a little room for them to rise. So you'll see here, let me put this dough down for a second. You'll see here I've left a little bit of room at the edge. That's because when these balls of dough rise, I'm going to actually separate them just a little bit. They're going to come together and become one formed unit. If you wanted to, you could also make this kind of shape and make them into a pull apart. That would absolutely work as well and probably be quite pretty. In an 8-inch square pan, I'm probably going to get about 9 balls of dough for the pull apart. Another really fun thing to do with challah dough, if you want to do something fun, is to make babka out of it. There are some delicious recipes online of chocolate fillings, cinnamon fillings, however you want to do it. But I'm going to teach you a shortcut that I decided to try last week. And it was quite delicious. It was gone before the night was over. When we had the cooking demonstration with Miriam Pascal about a week and a half ago, I'm losing track of time already. She had a recipe for mousse that was par, riches whip, and chocolate spread. Well, guess who had extra chocolate spread left over? So I rolled out my challah dough, lathered on chocolate spread, and then I rolled it up to form a babka. What I did was, according to directions that I found online for babka making, was I rolled it and then cut it in half and then twist the two ropes together. I definitely recommend wearing gloves when doing that. It was quite messy, and I was able to just take off my gloves and keep on going. But it made a delicious, delicious babka with challah dough and chocolate spread. I'm sure had I done it with cinnamon sugar like I did with the cinnamon bread, it would have been delicious as well. It was a big hit in the family.
What was your measurements for the cinnamon bread? It was how much sugar?
It was 2 cups of sugar to half a cup of cinnamon.
And how many did that be? Like what? How many like red things?
I think I ended up, did I end up making more of the sugar mixture? I may have, because I was using quite a bit of dough. So, you know, you can play with the proportions. It's not an exact science, but I couldn't remember from the last time I had made a cinnamon bread, because it had been so long, what the proportions were. So I Googled it, and the recipe that I found said 2 cups sugar to half a, 2 cups sugar to half a cup of cinnamon. So that's what I did, and it worked well. So now I have my 9 balls of dough here. And they just kind of slid because of the way I did that. They're not exactly equal because I haven't weighed them out. But when they rise, they will join together, and I'll have a nice pull apart challah here. Did I have another? I don't remember if I had another shape on the slides. Let's double check that, if you don't mind. Okay, I didn't. So this is where we start egg washing. Now, I still have quite a bit of dough left. I could make any of these again. Oh, Carmela had asked me to do the other 6 again.
Oh yeah, thank you.
So let's do that. Let's get a little bit of flour on here. And I'm going to go back to that for 1 minute. We're going to roll out our 6 strands. Is there anything else that anybody else would like me to review as well?
Can you show us the babka? Like how you would do it?
It's all gone, but I can show you how I would do it, yes. That babka I baked on a Thursday night. I think it was gone before Friday.
Just did it. Here it is.
Yeah.
I'm making many ones.
Aliza.
Yes.
For the pull apart, whenever I make a pull apart, it always meshes together so you don't see the individual things. Is the trick to leave them spaced out?
Probably. Because then the edges will come together, but you'll still be able to see the defined tops of, you know, the defined mounds.
Did you put any extra oil on around them to separate?
I did not.
No, okay. Aliza, another question.
Yes.
At this point, we are, some of our things have been sitting and not in the oven, not washed yet or whatever.
Right.
So do we have to wait until they all kind of rise before putting them in, or what do you suggest now?
No, what I usually do all of my shaping and then all of my egg washing, and then I let it rise.
Okay, so even if something's been sitting for a while that you've done, you know, 20 minutes ago, You
It's
still
still
let them rise. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Aliza?
You're very welcome.
So-
Yes,
So you let them rise with the egg wash on them already?
I do.
Really? Okay, I've never done it that way. The egg wash doesn't kind of like get dried out?
That's just sometimes what I'll, because the issue is what I find that when I egg wash after it rises, I kind of deflate it a little bit, even if I try it with a gentle hand.
Yeah, you have to be careful. It kind of does like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right, you're right.
So in order to try to avoid that issue,
Okay.
I do it first, and then if it needs a little touch up, then I do, then I'll do.
And then if you put on like challah topping, the challah topping meaning the one that you can buy already made, it's the everything thing. You put it right on right after you do the
right on while the egg wash is wet.
Okay, right, that's what I thought. Okay, terrific, thanks. That's what I do, yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna go over that.
Now I take the top and I go under.
Okay, here we go.
Now this loop.
You ready for this is the Levia that Carmel asked me to show again.
Wait, 10 seconds.
No problem.
Okay, and then can you tell us what we're supposed to do now? Because I have to take a call soon. So just
Yeah, sure. So now after you're done with all your shaping, you're going to egg wash. And after you egg wash is when you're going to put on various toppings. Okay. One of my family's favorites is the everything but the bagel spice from Trader Joe's.
Yeah, should have gotten that.
Okay. Other things that have been used are these sliced onion things from Herod.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Some minced garlic.
Okay. What about real garlic, like the frozen garlic?
I've never used it, but it's probably delicious. Sesame seeds, poppy seeds. I did see a question just pop up, but I didn't see what it was. Hang on one second. Is it okay if the egg wash dries out before it goes in the oven? Yeah, it's not critical for the egg wash to be still completely wet. Okay, so here we go for the 6. Carmela, you ready?
I just need one more minute. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
We're almost ready.
This is the one, 3 and 3.
Yes, this is a 3 and 3.
No, it's cute.
Okay. Outside, in, and make an X.
I was gonna do this.
Wait.
Separate them out again.
Wait. Say it again. Outside.
Outside to the inside, make an X.
Into the middle.
Into the middle, yes. Okay, separate them out again. Now take the outside ones to the middle.
Depends what they're gonna call us. No.
Outside, X to the middle. I do find that alternating whether you go left over right or right over left makes it a little prettier, but it's not a must do. Outside, X to the middle.
You have no more eggs?
Outside, X to the middle. Outside, X to the middle. Until you get to the end. You give it a little tuck.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Huh, it has a hole in it. Let's not use that one.
Aliza?
Yes.
Okay, your challahs seem to be so even at the beginning and at the end. Any trick to making sure that that happens?
So really it's about trying to make the strands as even as possible. If the strands are more even, then your challah will be more even.
Like the ends.
The good thing is that if you let it rise in a contained thing, it will kind of even itself out and kind of correct itself. I'm just going to get the remainder of my dough, so I'll make a quick babka with it. Give me 1 second to get what I need.
got it from the breakfast yesterday.
Okay. I will, but some of it I'm putting in the second batch. If you wait, I can do some more sixth grades.
Here we go. We're gonna roll out the dough. So that it's flat.
I like that rolling thing you have.
Pepper step. Pepper step from when Livia was selling them.
So cool. Never saw that.
And then, now, disclaimer, this is fun. I am not a pro at this. This is literally my second time in my life doing this, but I'm happy to show you what I did. Trim the edges so that they're even. Square.
Is making it into a rectangle.
Yes, because she's making a babka.
Oh.
Make a little roll out of that when we're done.
That came out better.
My chocolate spread.
Look, that.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, don't you want to put this in?
It'll be a little easier, I think.
I think I'm gonna leave it there.
What I did last time actually is I microwaved this for about 10 seconds to make it a little runnier. Time to do that now, so I'm just going to kind of spread it.
Aliza,
Spread was blocking the camera. I apologize. That was bad.
what kind of spread are you using?
The classic Israeli.
Where'd you get that?
I think most of the kosher supermarkets have it. I think we bought this one at Cedar Market, but I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure we got it at Cedar Market.
Cedar has it.
There you go.
Which one? I'm sorry. Who has it?
Cedar Market.
Okay, thank you. 'Cause I've been looking for this. This is what I use.
I can't see.
Use Nutella.
But I couldn't find it that time.
You could probably also use it if you have any of the lotus.
You can use a lotus spread. You can use the par Nutella too.
I use the Lips Marble chocolate. Make a choice.
Lotus would probably be outstanding on this. I'm bringing it to the edges as much as I can. Just a little more spread. You know, as I was spreading the chocolate spread, you saw it kind of lost its shape a little bit, so I'm
I think I might
adjust it.
make.
Now comes the really messy part where you roll it up.
Sure. I'm gonna make a cinnamon babka because I don't have chocolate spread.
And then let me get a nice sharp knife because I don't think this will do it.
Cinnamon and peanut butter.
I have.
Got jelly. Got I can make a babka with.
Then I'm cutting it right down the middle. Being careful of my, I don't want to cut that. You see I have my 2 ropes here? The chocolate.
Oh, wow.
Give it a little twist like this.
Wow.
If you want to, you could also put chocolate chips inside after you spread the chocolate. And now I'm going to bring it together like this.
Doesn't seem too hard. No.
And there you have a babka.
Wow.
Wait, so do you have to make
Yeah.
a mochi on it?
What's that?
You have to make a mochi on it? In this house?
So I'm honestly not sure. When I made last week, I actually meant to ask the rabbi that. When I made last week, I was debating. I really wasn't sure, so I had I took a bite of bread beforehand, so I just washed and then I'd be fine.
Just curious.
Lisa, our good friend Ofra said that she stopped putting so much filling in one of her challahs because it became a question of hamotzi or not. So it's
Right.
something to ask the
Correct.
rabbi.
I had that same conversation with her a little while ago. At my son's request, he said to me, "Mommy, next time you make it, and my hands are a little wet, so the glove's not going on quite as neatly." But he asked me to put some chocolate chips on the top next time I did it. So here we go. This is for my son. And now we egg wash. And to egg wash, all you're going to do is crack 1 egg. I like to check by going back and forth. Others check by lifting the glass and looking through it. Either way is perfectly fine. We're going to give it a really good beating. Beat it really well. And then take your pastry brush. I would do the babka last because otherwise your pastry brush is going to get all chocolatey. Now, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. As I'm doing the egg wash, I'm kind of getting the edges that are right alongside the pan, so that as it rises, that part is still egg washed.
And why do we do an egg wash? Sorry.
That's okay. The egg wash is what gives it that challah sheen. You know, that nice brown golden color.
Okay.
You didn't put any water in your egg, did you?
I did not put any water in my egg. I have seen some bakers who do that. I don't. I happen to like it like this, but I see nothing wrong with the other way either.
I'm sorry, Aliza, I know
Yes.
you do just the egg yolk?
Just the egg yolk. I don't use any water in mine.
Okay, thank you.
And you're welcome. And this, by the way, is where you would add your toppings. So I have some in my family who really like everything but the bagel spice, and some in my family who prefer plain. So usually what I end up doing is I end up doing about half and half. I look at what I made and I said, okay.
How many eggs did you use for all of this challah?
1.
Oh.
I'll probably still have some left over. 1 egg goes a long way.
Aliza, I did not separate my egg. Is there a problem with that or?
I didn't separate mine either. I beat the whole egg.
Okay.
Yeah, I also use the whole.
Oh, I
egg.
thought you separated yours. I got it. Okay.
Nope. I use a
No,
whole egg and I just beat it really, really well.
Right. And a little water sometimes I add, but you don't have to.
Yeah, that's a personal preference. Some do, some don't. You want to just, like you're painting a canvas, just paint the whole thing. Try to get in, especially where there are braids, try to get in between braids. You'll see that I'm trying to get kind of between the strands a little bit here, so that when it rises, the whole thing ends up with that nice glossy brown color. I'm doing my little guys now. This is my last pan. Now my crowns fell a little bit. That's okay.
Is it possible at some point just to show the babka dish?
This is what it looks like right now.
Uh-huh.
I took the, I cut the
Yes. It looks beautiful, but unfortunately I wasn't able to see how you did it.
Okay, who is that talking?
It's May Muskin.
May, okay, I'm happy to go over with you if you'd like. What I did was I
don't want to waste other people's time. You know?
That's okay. I'll just talk you through it quickly while I get my toppings of my challah ready.
Okay, thanks.
I took my leftover challah dough that I had after grating all of these. I rolled it out into a square, spread chocolate spread all over it, and rolled that up. I then took the roll, cut it in half, twisted the two ropes together, and then folded that twist in half and sprinkled some chocolate chips on top.
It looks magnificent. Thanks.
Aliza, in case you are not at the point of having leftover dough, can you guesstimate how much dough you think you used for it?
Total guesstimate, I would say probably, I don't know, 15, 16 ounces, something like that. But again, total guesstimate.
Okay, great, thank you.
And there's no science as to how much, as much dough as you use, that's how much chocolate you use, so that it fits. Okay, so now everything is egg washed. I'm going to start sprinkling on the everything but the bagel spice. I have one daughter who loves everything pull-aparts, so that is my first. Her one request when she got back from her year in Israel was a Zadie's pull-apart everything challah. So Ellen can attest because she went in search of it for me. Make a few more of these, and then I'm going to leave these in my kitchen, which is a little bit warm, to rise for about a half hour, and then put them in the oven at 350, and they will be golden and delicious.
Excuse me, Aliza, did you egg wash the babka also?
I did. I hope you guys had fun with this today.
How long should they bake for?
Half hour at 350.
It was
Thank you
great,
so much,
Aliza.
Aliza.
Thank
This
you
was great.
so much.
Absolutely.
They should rise for a half hour and then bake them for a half hour.
Guys, if you want my slides, please either email me at alizafishman@gmail. That's ALIZAFISCHMAN. And don't forget to clean the fish. WhatsApp me at 201.
She's the one that runs the Zoom for.
000.
I'm gonna do cinnamon and sugar on that.
Aliza,
Yes.
can you review those cinnamon buns? They were just pull apart challah, dipped in margarine, melted margarine, and then the cinnamon and sugar on top or around it or something, rolled in cinnamon and sugar?
Roll it right in.
Okay, so there's no cinnamon and sugar inside, it's just you roll it outside.
I rolled each ball in.
Thank you,
that
Aliza.
sounds- This is all wonderful.
I have a question for you. I don't.
Yes, please.
Okay, like I said, this isn't a recipe, and I actually was planning on making another recipe.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay.
I know. He's asking me.
Hear me?
Okay, Carmela, go ahead.
Okay, so I doubled the recipe, but I did it separately, meaning twice. I just redid everything in 2 different separate bowls. Unfortunately, I don't know why, as it rose, half of one thing came out very heavy. And now normally I put it in my machine and I don't do it by hand. I just do it in a mixer. So how do I fix this now? Because it's not even risen and it's just like this much dough, but it feels heavy. It doesn't feel like the regular. Do you think I should just let it sit a little longer and rise?
Hold on 1 second. Let me find you so I can see what you're saying.
Now, I don't know why. The rest batch came out beautiful. The other batch half came out beautiful. And it's rise more, but it feels really heavy. Here, because half of this batch used the same,
Right.
and half the batch just came out so heavy.
So I would say maybe try to let it rise a little bit longer. What I did to force mine to rise when I froze it before I had shaped it, is I turned my oven to warm.
Yeah, I have that on now.
Put it on the door of the oven. Not on the door, I'm sorry, I put it on the racks, but open. With
You'd be surprised.
All right, I'm gonna try it and see if it helps. If not, I don't want to cook it. It's a shame. It's
Otherwise, make babka out of it or cinnamon bread out of it.
okay.
This one's my simple.
Oh.
Lisa, can you mute everybody?
Now, what are you going to make out of that? Babkas?
Enjoyed this time with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great. If you have any questions, again, Aliza or 201-572-0000.
Thank you very
much.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shavuot
Thank
Sameach. I look forward to seeing you all in person soon.
Bye.
Bye. Good Chodesh.
Thank you again. Thank you again to Erica for all your help with the with being admin on this.
Thank you, Erica.
Kol tuv.